BU Hillel runs alternative spring break trips, otherwise known as ASB trips, and these are service-oriented trips for students to travel to unique international destinations for their spring break.
Like getting the chance to travel internationally in college is just like always a really great opportunity, but especially when you can do it and like learn something or take away or like do something impactful or interesting. I learned so much about Argentinian culture, about Argentinian Jewish culture.
I really wanted to go on the ASB Argentina trip because I actually grew up in Madrid and some of my closest childhood friends were from Argentina, and this was a really good opportunity to see family and friends who lived there, as well as get to do community service in a community that's not mine.
I went on the ASB trip not really knowing what to expect, but I was interested in exploring my Jewish identity and doing that through service. And so we talked a lot about Jewish values on the trip, especially Tikkun Olam and other acts of service related values. And I really felt like I explored that through the service we did, and I was really able to connect through my Jewish identity.
So this past trip, when we were in Buenos Aires, Argentina, we volunteered with Sonrisas, which means smiles, and it's a social services organization that helps children and young families that are from impoverished areas of the city and provides them with school resources, tutoring, after-school programming.
Really any like need in the community they try to fill. So we were more working on getting it ready for this year's back to school events and stuff. So we sorted, I think, like 40 or 50 bags of clothing for all members of the community where they can come and get those clothes, backpacks, things like that.
So we were helping to paint. Some of the people helped with setting up like electrical wires and systems. And we were also leveling out the land, so it was very much physical labor, really getting into it. It was like in the heat, and so it was definitely labor, but it was very fulfilling, very hard work.
In terms of the balance between service and free time on the trip, it was pretty balanced. Usually most days in the morning we went and did community service until maybe like 2 or 3, and then we would have touristic activities like sightseeing or going to museums.
We were doing a lot of just exploring the city. For example, we went to a place called La Boca. We also went to a little market, and there was a lot of just touring around. And we were given some free time. We also interacted a lot with the locals, especially at Hillel, Buenos Aires. So we were able to connect with the community there, and me and a few other people knew Spanish on the trip, so we were able to interact with them in their native language, which was really awesome.
My favorite memory of the trip was our Purim party. We traveled to Buenos Aires when Purim was happening, and our first night we were able to join 300 other young Jewish adults for an amazing Purim party. We were able to really breathe global Judaism in a unique way.
I think that one of my favorite parts of this trip was the tango class that they made us take. I thought it was really enjoyable. It was my first time ever doing something like that. And it was also like a really good bonding experience with the other students that came on the trip.
I met a lot of new friends because I went into the trip not knowing anybody that was going to be on it. And so I only met them 2 times when we had orientation, but on the trip I built some really great bonds with them, and I left with a lot of new friendships.
I think one of the most interesting parts about this trip was getting to see the Jewish community in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and getting to see how we went to one of their Shabbat services in a Reform synagogue. And I just thought that it was a really cool experience, like seeing how they practiced Judaism, or one of the examples of how they practiced Judaism there and how their community was bonded.
Going on a trip like this is very important because you're being welcomed into communities that are so unlike your own, but you're also learning how like your communities and their communities have similarities and shared like beliefs of like taking care of each other. Like that's a very big idea in Judaism, is like that we take care of each other, we help each other, and that's exactly what that community organization is doing for their community. So our homes may look different, we may have access to different things, but at the end of the day we all like care about the same things for our communities.